Hey 501 humans, it's week 8. We've made it! Alright. I think my device is feeling a bit like me, which is likely a bit like you. Tried opening up the camera on my laptop, was not working, so I'm on my phone. Like, balanced against my laptop right now. My laptop right there as a stand. If I wanted to be really fancy, I would have set up a tripod and done a more attractive, just above head angle. Get rid of that green screen hiding in the corner. This would be a little bit better, but then it's going to wobble, right? Like the wobble's no good. So I'll just put it back down here. Not the most flattering shot, but maybe I can make it more interesting and like type in front of you. I don't know. Let me explain a little bit about what the assignments are, and then kind of some closing thoughts for the course, and about previous assignments. So, this week is pretty straightforward. The biggest difference between this and any other week is that it ends on Friday, October 15th. That's the end. My grades are due 40 hours later, so please get assignments completed on time. Late work is likely going to just end in a 0, and that's really bad for your final assignment. So, on Friday is when it all ends. The threaded discussion, so you can see me use the mouse and the trackpad. Very exciting. Initial post is due Wednesday, 2 replies by Friday. Initial by Wednesday, 2 by Friday. You can rewind me if you want to hear that again and again and again. This is one of my favorite posts. You're writing a letter to a young teacher talking about kind of your vision for 21st century education. So, your initial post by Wednesday, 2 replies by Friday. You got it. Saying it with me. That is your only discussion board post. The assignment for the end of this week is active queue member. I think this is my favorite assignment, possibly of all time for graduate school. I feel like it's one of the most relevant ones. It will hopefully connect you with the Q community. Are you ready for it? Q-munity. We'll take that in for just a moment. That's fantastic. Yeah, there's a few different parts to this. I believe there are 3 parts to it. I'm going to go through it, and they're all relatively straightforward. There's a template for you that actually breaks this down into 3 separate parts in one Google Doc. Then you can just export that as either a Word doc or a PDF, and you're all set. So I strongly encourage you under the resources part of the Google Doc assignment description to use that template. Fun fact, when you click on it, it prompts you to use template. Do you know how I did that? I'm going to tell you. You can go ahead and click on it right now, actually, if you're scrolling, and my video should continue. Up at the top of the URL, it does not say /edit at the end. There's a lot of different things you can do to get rid of the /edit and the kind of word processing interface. If you change it to /view, people can just view it. /preview is a little bit cleaner. If you want to actually force a template, you do what I did, which is /template/preview, and then it shows you the preview and prompts you in the top right corner to use template. It's pretty cool. And all I did is change the URL and made sure that anyone with a link can view. If you just want to very quickly get people a copy, change /edit to /copy, and I'll just say, do you want to use the copy? This is a slightly more elegant way where it actually gives you a preview of the document and then encourages you to use the template. So it's basically forced copy with a preview. So that's how I did that. That was, what is his name? Tony Vincent, learninginhand.com, I believe. Tony has a great blog post about that if you're wondering about some fun URLs. I knew a few of them, his blog posts. Learned a few more. So, I'm going to just go through all of this. You have 3 parts to the assignment. The first part is the easiest, Q membership verification. Join Q, become a free member. Grab a screenshot of you registering to be a free member, submit it there, add it to your CV, possibly add it to your resume. You'll get some great resources, but I would say more importantly, you become a member of CUE, which means that the advocacy work CUE gets to do on your behalf is more pronounced. I think that's the right word, right? When CUE kind of switched from paid-only membership to free and premium, we had about 10,000 members, and when it switched to free, that has doubled the amount of membership. So there's about 20,000 members. So when we have some of our advocacy work humans go to Sacramento and try and get some funding for schools with technology, saying, we represent 20,000 members, we're getting into more meetings and taken more seriously than saying we have 10,000 members, or even, just pretty quickly before that, we have 5,000 members. There's a big difference saying we have 20,000 members in our organization in California and Nevada. So do that. Encourage other educators to sign up for that. It's a big deal, and it's an easy way to help CUE be taken more seriously as an organization. The second thing you're going to do is find an article from CUE's blog called On CUE. You're going to write 300 words, take a look at the rubric, pretty straightforward. The goal, kind of big picture, is to share how this blog post, how this article has impacted your view of 21st century education or innovation. Really, it's to force you to click around in the CUE blog a little bit, find some good resources, follow some of those authors, and learn a little bit. Make sure that you're also using APA formatting in this area. And then the big portion of this assignment is to create a presentation proposal for an upcoming CUE conference. So you do not have to submit it to CUE. You do have to submit it to me. But if you write it for the course, you might as well, right? Might as well submit it to the upcoming Spring CUE conference. I would encourage you to do so. If you get accepted, lead presenters attend for free. It's about $300. So if you can't find a way to attend financially, this might help bump you over. So I think I have presented at every single CUE conference I have attended, and I've attended just about all of them since I've been presenting since like 2013 maybe. So I have never paid to attend a CUE conference. There were a couple years where I couldn't afford to go. I was just like, oh well, I guess I can't go. Can't afford to go. And then there were 1 or 2 years where I put in a proposal and it was not accepted, and so I didn't attend because I couldn't afford to go. But there were definitely a handful of years where my school was not paying. I couldn't afford on my own to pay for hotel and food and travel and registration. So that $300 off made a pretty big difference for me. Definitely early in my career, definitely when I was at the school I was at, that wouldn't fund professional development in ed tech. So you're just going to follow that template. Again, Assignment 6 template walks you through what you're going to do, the title, the description, learning objectives. If you're able to take a look at a previous CUE conference, I would encourage you to look at types of titles, types of descriptions. You should be able to click through and look at most of what got accepted. And for me, that's really when I went from not being accepted for conference presentations to getting accepted. Was I'd say, all right, I think I want to do something around like making videos with students. And so I would look at all of the CUE presentations that were accepted, because they have, Q20, Spring CUE 2020 should be there. Fall CUE 2021 is coming up in a few weeks. You can look at the programs and see what got accepted, right? Same thing with ISTE conferences. I'd go through like the last 4 years and review everything. What are the titles, anything with video in it, descriptions, anything with video in it. What do they put for learning objectives? What do they put for their outlines? And it's likely going to be changed. The Fall CUE presentation submission looked more about accessibility, more about inclusiveness, more about the diversity if you're co-presenting. So this was taken from I believe, a Spring CUE 2020 submission. So I'm hopeful it's going to change a little bit, but should be mostly the same. So this was not a Concordia University Irvine original documentation. This is like literally copy and pasted from the Spring CUE submission outline. Again, with the hopes that if you put in for this submission, you will, submission for this course, you'll also put in a submission for a conference, because they're very close to the same. So I think it was pretty smart, and gives you a better opening into what a presentation proposal looks like for an EdTech conference. The ones for ISTE are longer. I don't know significantly longer, but they're definitely longer. There's definitely some supporting research you need to have. You're going to list experience you have presenting at other conferences. You're probably not going to want to present at ISTE until you presented at some regional and some, pardon me, the bigger CUBE conferences. Hang on, I'm going to grab some water. My water is almost empty. Let's hope I make it. Whew. Throat is dry. And that is all for the assignment. Remember, it's due on Friday by midnight. The last thing I want to talk about is, now that you've done your Twitter assignment, being a connected educator, I want to dig into a little bit of the nuance of the platform. It used to be that nearly all the educators that were on there when I first started were like, I just want to find other educators like me. Is there anyone doing innovative work? Great, we'll find each other. And it's changed a lot, like a lot in the last 10 years for educators. So don't be afraid to unfollow people. Don't be afraid to kind of check your gut and say, like, this person self-promotes a lot or feels like not someone I want to follow. Just very quickly unfollow. Don't be afraid to block people. A lot of people are there to just become edu-famous. So if you find people not following you back, not engaging with you, just find other people. There are some amazing humans, but there are also some that don't quite understand what being a connected educator is about. And it's not about them. So don't worry too much about that. There's also one hashtag in particular that I wanted to call out that has bothered me kind of personally. I've talked with other educators that have done a lot more work than I have around accessibility and inclusivity. And that hashtag, that chat, that community is CrazyPLN, PLN being Professional Learning Network. And when they started 5 years ago, that was a term I was using all the time. Whoa, like, look at this crazy idea. And I have since learned that is ableist language, that by saying crazy, for those that actually have mental health issues, it doesn't feel good for them. I've had educators that are good friends say, like, please don't use that term. And for the most part, I've stopped using the word crazy to mean awesome, amazing, engaging. And I think even if I'm talking about like mental health or mental illness, I wouldn't say that person's crazy if they were legitimately like mentally ill. So I think for the most part, I've stopped using that word, but it's taken a handful of people actually naming that word is problematic, that word promotes ableism. And I've actually reached out to the people that organize CrazyPLN and shared with them my thoughts on it and other people's thoughts. And their response really, like, deeply bothered me. Their response was, no, we're okay. We've decided it's okay to use that word. I said, all right, well, so it bothers me. They're like, no, we're okay, but thanks for reaching out. Which, by the way, if you were ever in the majority, that is the wrong answer. That is absolutely the wrong answer. If somebody is saying the word you used is offensive, just about the only response, or at the very least the first response, should be, wow, I'm so sorry, I will stop using that word. That is a safe first step. And I am speaking from someone that's almost always in the majority, being straight, white, middle class, married person with kids, educator. Like I hit almost all of the buckets of being the majority, in California, being Christian, doing, kind of good in the world, kind of all the things I tend to hit in the majority, and so it has taken me a lot of learning and unlearning. So that when things come like this, I think it's important to name it. It's important to interrupt it, and so I noticed a handful of you were engaging in that hashtag, which is fine. There's actually some fantastic conversations happening there, but using that term in a casual way really bothers some people. And so I would strongly encourage you to not use that hashtag and to not participate in that chat, which is too bad because there's other things like they could call it like awesome PLN, right? Yeah, I think using words, continuing to use words that are developing nuance, and deciding that you're okay with it when others are saying they're not is not an okay thing to do. So I want to share a specific thing, and I think that that kind of as a whole captures a lot of, I guess, the nuance of Twitter these days. That you can have this duality of being like, there's some great people sharing great things, having great conversations, and they really need to not use that word, right? And so, like I don't look down on people who are using that for sure. I'm for sure, like, if you've been in that chat, I'm not judging you at all. Just after having read through a lot of tweets and seeing just kind of the big picture of things, right? I think it becomes, a good example of ways that it's not just like, you're a teacher on Twitter, I'll follow you no matter what. That we can be more critical of who we follow, of what they follow, and how they use their words, right? Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. If you ever have any specific questions about educators to follow or not follow, feel free to reach out to me, mention me publicly, DM me. Yeah, I've had a few educator friends be like, this person seems kind of creepy. And I was like, yeah, I've had more than one person tell me that. You need to block them now. If that ever comes up, reach out to me. I tend to be careful about who I recommend to follow. And I am also not a single female on Twitter, not a single woman on Twitter either. And so my experience on Twitter as a straight, white, married man is very different than what yours is if you are not. So, and even just the grade levels we teach or don't teach, being an administrator and teacher, there's all these different points of intersectionality that lead us all to have very different experiences on Twitter, both based on who we follow and also how we identify and how we choose to share who we are in all those different buckets. So, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you still have a smile on your face with all of that. Hopefully not a smile like that. That was a weird smile. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. The last thing I'm going to share with you, this course comes with free lifetime tech support from me. So as you have questions about social media, about being a connected educator, about kind of any of the stuff that we've ever talked about, things change a lot with the stuff we've talked about. The specific apps are going to come and go a lot, but hopefully the bigger picture stuff is going to stick with you. Like finding other educators to connect with, to share ideas with, to learn from. That's going to be around for a while. Being a member of CUE, hopefully that's going to really contribute to your own professional growth. And as you become a more active member, that you can contribute to others' professional growth, right? That actually it's more about servant leadership than about just what can I learn from this community. So hopefully as you grow in your expertise in ed tech, you'll be able to actually serve in the community that is CUE. And again, it doesn't matter if you're in California or not. The organization caters specifically to educators in California and Nevada, but and they have members worldwide, or certainly members nationally. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to be connected with that. The other thing too, with those books you've been reading, if you've not connected specifically with your Google Infused Classroom authors, Holly Clark and Tanya Abrith, be sure and say hello. Let them know what you think about the book. share out, any specific things you learned from the book. I'm sure they would love that. I'm sure they would retweet you. And yeah, if you have any specific feedback about that book, you just got the brand new version, hopefully. I'm sure they would love to hear it, because books take a long, long time to write. I looked at writing one and was just like, I don't care that much about writing kind of anything at this point. Yeah, so share with them, feel free to tag me on the tweet if you want, if you're like a little bit nervous about that. They're both good friends, so be happy to connect you with either of them. Yeah, but those are good books, right? If you skipped around any of Sir Ken Robinson's book, I understand. It's a great audiobook, so if you want to just buy that or rent that, put that on the back burner, that'd be a great one to either listen to parts of what you missed, right? Or that was a weird wink. I guess I don't know what that wink was. I would take that back if I could, or re-listen at some point. Yeah, it's a good audiobook. So anyway, happy week 8. Thanks for joining us on this adventure we call 501, and be safe out there.